What's going on, everybody? Quentin Flores here. I'm with my man Steve, and we're going to be talking all things real estate right after this commercial. Guys, be excited because we're going to be giving you guys massive value. I'll talk to you guys in a bit.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Creative Cash Flow, Lifeonaire.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Ground Zero Show with our special guest, Steve. Steve has come all the way from Arizona to talk about real estate. He's also speaking at an event, right?
Yeah, speaking tomorrow and the day after. Talking about two different things.
At the Max Maxwell We Live 19?
We Live 19.
I'll be there, man. I'm super excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be staying today and tomorrow, so I'll be hanging out with everybody.
Yeah, it's, we were just in that mastermind this morning, and a couple of nuggets I heard this morning. It's like, wow, there's things you don't think about.
Dude, that's the amazing thing right there is when people come together. So I know that you recently interviewed Max. Again, you have like a podcast, right?
Right. Yeah. Real Estate Disruptors. This is the
Real Estate Disruptors. Okay. Right. And you guys do mainly podcasting, or are you also a real estate investor?
Well, yeah. So I do everything, right? So I have my real estate brokerage, right? Real estate. I got my traditional real estate team. I got my wholesale and flip side, which I run with my partner Max Jimenez, which I would not be able to do anything without him. And then I got title agency, and then I got my app that we created.
Wow, yeah. That's like a whole heap of tools right there, man.
Yeah.
How do you even balance that and run a podcast at the same time?
Honestly, it's just having the best people around me. Just having the best partners.
Of course.
So like I said, Max. Without Max. He was the difference between me doing wholesale passively, like on the side, like as a side hustle, to like now we're doing it, full bore, right?
Full time.
So having Max and then having Summer and Lisa, they run my traditional real estate brokerage and traditional real estate team.
You're a broker?
I'm a broker, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. How long have you been doing real estate?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah. Insane,
man.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get to this level the entire time, or has things been picking up over the last few years?
It's everything has just been. It kind of feel like everything's been leading up to this, right? Because one of the greatest ways to get humbled is like I've got to figure it out. I gotta say, like there's like 5 times where I'll say, "Oh man, I finally got it. I finally figured it out," and then Google will change the algorithm, or you got new competitors, whether it's Open Door or 100% brokerages. Or whatever. There's just always something. It's like, man, I finally got it nailed down. New surprise.
All the time, man.
That's why we have the shows, the Disruptors.
I love it. So that's where the name of that show kind of derives from.
Well, I think there's this weird thing because like wholesale is cool right now, right? And it's been talked about for a long time. You got Kiyosaki. You got that. I can't remember. Was it Rich? Not Carlton. Carlton Sheets.
Yes, I know you're talking about.
You got the guy with the mansion and the hot blondes and the Lambos, right? So like it's been around for a long time, but it's always kind of like shiesty.
Of course.
The image, the Hollywood version, was always kind of like dirty, slime ball, whatever, right? But wholesaling is mainstream now because I think of social media, because of YouTube, Instagram, and all that. And I think that realtors are looked down upon wholesaling, and I think it's naively so, right? Because they don't understand it.
Of course.
And so my mission is to educate realtors to understand wholesaling as an option, and wholesalers to use traditional real estate as an option. Because if you go in with like the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to use. Of course, because you need the nail and you also need the hammer.
Yeah. So that's the reason for the Disruptors. So we wanted to interview everybody. That's the way everyone does real estate differently, and if we can all learn from each other, then we're gonna have all the tools.
I love that because what a lot of people don't do, especially because there is some sort of weird animosity between people who wholesale real estate and also are doing traditional real estate on the retail side.
Yeah.
It's just a knowledge barrier that needs to be broken down, because wholesaling in a sense is still within the same spectrum of what everybody else is doing. As long as you practice it and you know what you're doing and you have all your paperwork in line and to the T. I work with realtors all the time. Realtors, they would probably make more money working with wholesalers.
If they would actually kind of get off their high horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The license would be the high horse.
Yeah.
So you run a
Interesting.
brokerage and you do also wholesaling. You're also an investor, and then you have the Real Estate Disruption podcast.
Right. And our meetups.
Dude, insane. You know, it just wanted to like kind of let you guys know on this stuff. Steve has asked me to be on the show before.
Right.
I'm actually, you know, I'm always busy, man. This is crazy for me too to be here, but to fly all the way out to Arizona, man, it would have been like a crazy thing for me to be there for a little while and be away from my business for as long as it is. Now I have a little bit more freedom, so I'm excited to hopefully be on there. But you have. And now you're here on my show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
the world works in funny ways.
The way it works is crazy, man. So you've interviewed some heavy hitters in this business. I've seen them. Who are those people?
I mean, the biggest, some of the biggest people, right? We got Daniel, right, in the studio, Corey Thompson. We've had Carlos and Sal. They've come on multiple times, and you know they were paramount. I mean, I've told Carlos and Sal like they were paramount because they were our number 2 guests. You know, you say I'm gonna do a podcast. And I'm gonna hit the ground running, or I'm gonna fly out of the gates. So I asked for an introduction to Carlos and Sal. I was like, hey, you know, can you guys be on the show? I don't even know them yet, right? And they were cool. They came on, and we had.
Aren't they in Arizona?
They're in Arizona, and our first episode we hit 70, you know, live views. So we've had them. We've had Alex Sines, Jalen White, Jamil Damji, right, with Keegley, Pace Morby. He's in here somewhere, and Max Maxwell, obviously. So we've been able to get some really good people, and it's the coolest thing about the show is that it's worthy enough that someone's willing to fly in and travel in, right?
Oh yeah, man, for sure. There's too much value.
Yeah.
So you have a full-blown studio that you do this out of?
No, I don't. I have. So when I'm talking about partnerships, so the studio is I have a Lister Pros. They're the ones that record our videos for our listings. So if we've got a nice listing, we do video, we do drone. They're our guys, right?
Oh, dude, drone's big right now. You can sell the crap out of stuff.
So we pay them, I want to say like 175 for like drone and photos. And so they had, Jordan, the owner, he actually has a studio just to interview realtors. That's his lead gen, right? He interviews realtors, and the realtors come in the studio. It's like, oh, I love everything you do here, and that's how he gets clients. And I was in there before to do it. So when I decided last year, hey, I'm gonna do a podcast.
Barely last year?
Yeah, I started last year.
When?
May.
Dude, I thought you've been doing this for like years, man.
It feels that way.
Crazy. Bro, where you've gone since May?
Yeah.
Wow. You know how hard it is to get Max Maxwell on a podcast? It had to be convenient for him to be on Propelio, no offense. But insane, man, insane.
Well, you know, the great thing.
It was true.
The luckiest thing I have is that I have great relationships.
Yes.
And so asking people to ask Max, right? Is the leverage that we had to get him on. It wasn't me, because I don't have Max's phone number, right? So it's like, hey, so-and-so, Brent Daniels, right? Because Brent Daniels is part of Wholesaling Inc. Brent was also on the show, one of our best guests. He was on the show, and he did an event with Max for Wholesaling Inc. It's like, Brent, put in a good word for me, please. He did, and
bada bing, bada boom.
Right.
Yeah, man, definitely. Once one of the things that I've learned is that the more people that I've been able to put on a platform, especially working with individuals like yourself, the bigger that the audience grows. My audience will feed into what you're doing. Your audience will feed into what I'm doing. Right. And literally, it's just we all grow together, right?
It is, and that's the best part. And I listened to Corey's interview with Max the other day, and I think they hit it spot on, right? Is that we're going to have a handful of people, a handful of thought leaders in our industry in this wholesaling piece, and we all bring different flavors, but we can all educate together without charging $30K, $50K, whatever.
Of course. So you have to make it affordable. I believe that there is enough. I mean, dude, I could probably listen to your podcast right now, even though I've probably only listened to like maybe 4 or 5 episodes, but start from the beginning, not knowing anything about real estate, and I could come out with a master's degree.
It's crazy. And the coolest thing about all of it is like these guys come in and they just give. There's no selling, right? Like one of the biggest frustrations in going to some of these events is they're just selling from the stage. It's like, dude, don't give me 80%. and then try to sell me a weekend thing.
Or even then give you 20% and then 80% of it's upsold on
Right.
the weekend vacation to
Yeah.
Dubai and
Yeah,
all
exactly.
expenses, whatever. Yeah,
Just
man.
give it to me. Give me what you said you were gonna give me, right? So
And busting out with the value. So I mean, the podcast, you started it in May. It just barely started going, but you've been practicing real estate some odd 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
And what made you get into first the real estate stuff?
So I knew when I I was an engineer, and this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I was an engineer because it was easy, right? Math is one of my strengths.
So you put things together.
Right.
Or you fix things that should have been put together a certain way.
Right. So I got into engineering, and I did it, and I knew I wasn't gonna stay in it. I always knew I was gonna quit and start a company. I just didn't know what company. And then this is in 2007, and buying real estate is the smart thing, right? So I meet a broker while we're buying investment properties, and thank God that our loans got denied at that time, because we would have had foreclosures on our records. So, but I met a broker and I said, what do you do exactly? He's like, oh, I just talk to people. Like, really? And what do you do? What do you make? It's like, I make $100,000 a year. Just talking to people? I can talk to people. So
Right?
I was like, what do I got to do? He's like,
We're talking now,
we're
right?
talking now. So he said, I asked him, so what do I got to do to learn? He's like, well, you go get your real estate license. I'll teach you everything I know. I got my real estate license 2.5 weeks, submitted my 2 weeks notice, and it just jumped in May 2007.
Wow. And then the crash happened.
And then the crash happened. I racked up like $45,000 in credit card debt. All sorts of horrible things happened, but I wouldn't change it, right? It made us who we are today.
Of course. I held a lot of resentment because my childhood's way different, but I'll let you ask me that.
Yeah.
So the funny thing about this interview, guys, is it's something that he's been wanting to interview me. I'm interviewing him. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah.
And where are you from really? Are you from Arizona? You were raised and born?
I was born in Italy in a refugee camp.
Wow.
So I don't want to get too political, but
It's all right. Get political, bro.
My grandparents left China because of socialism/communism.
Oh my God.
So they all fled to Vietnam, and then my parents were born there, and they fled because of socialism/communism. So they came here, they came here on a boat, right, which didn't do so well. They were picked up by an Italian Navy ship. So I was born in a refugee camp in Italy on the way here. So, and the joke I've always made is like, once socialism kind of takes its roots here, then we're gonna go back to we're gonna move to wherever's the most capitalistic society. But yeah, so I wasn't born in Arizona, but Arizona's my home. I came to Arizona when I was 7 months old. I put a picture a couple of years back when we landed at Sky Harbor Airport. That's the airport in Phoenix with the red carpet. It's just
Wow.
1980.
That is insane. Are we going into a commercial right now? I'm guessing we are. Guys, we'll be right back with this interview here in a little bit. Okay, guys? I'll talk to you guys in a sec.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at propelio.com.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the show. Got my man Steve Trang here, and we are literally going through the life cycle of how this real estate guy came to be. And I think it's always amazing hearing the origin story. It's just like Batman, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, his parents die like in a million different ways in like a million different comic books. Not saying that happened with you,
Right,
but
right.
like it's something to interpret.
Yeah. I mean, how we get shaped, right?
Who cares about Batman without understanding how he became to be? And I
Exactly.
think that's very important with somebody's story.
Yeah.
Man. So you came here, you were born in a refugee camp, and then you had a red carpet rolled out here when you finally got here.
The carpet was red entire airport.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you got here 7 months old. You've been in Arizona pretty much since then, just steadily grinding to your own life, right?
Right.
Was real estate? You said you were an engineer at first.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I worked at Intel for 3.5 years. So I got my master's. So I graduated ASU, went to UC San Diego, got my as a PhD student, but I quit with my master's degree. Worked at Intel for 3.5 years. And again, I just knew I wasn't going to stay there. Like my plan was after 7 years, I'm going to get my sabbatical, all my stock options are going to vest, I got this and that. I'm going to quit, I'm going to do something else. But I ended up quitting after 3.5 years.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. You
Right.
got to find your passion.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that was the problem. There was no passion. Like I didn't hate it. I was just apathetic to it. Like I did it because it paid the bills.
Dude, I feel that. I feel that. Maybe there's a secret meaning behind that.
Yeah.
Because maybe you could be passionate about putting things together. That could be something.
I am absolutely passionate about putting things together. But I can say the thing I've learned that I'm most passionate about, which took a while because I didn't open my brokerage until 2013. But I learned what I'm most passionate about is developing people, is watching people grow, right? I've had, the mission is 100 millionaires, right? Like that's we're on a mission to create 100 millionaires. And I can say, maybe we've only created 2 or 3 so far, but I have so many people that have worked for me that started as waitresses or fresh out of school, and they're making like 18K or 30K. And now I have a lot of guys in our office that are clearing 500,000 a year, 600,000 a year. And it's cool to be a part of their journey, right? Like they were able to do this because we worked together on their business.
Of course.
I was their coach along the way.
There's this thing that my mentor had told me. So I look up to a man in San Antonio who's big in multifamily investing.
Mm-hmm.
He's very low key, man. He'll never do a podcast like this, as sad as it is,
Yeah.
But those are my favorite people. Right. Not saying that doing the podcast, he's just not up to date with the times. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Old souls are like that.
It's old school mentality. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. You know what I mean? But those are the people that I love networking with. But this gentleman, he had told me that as you grow, Quentin, your audience is going to grow with you. Mm-hmm. And he teaches one of the seminars for a company that I had started with called Lifestyles Unlimited. Yeah. And man, and I think that right there, exactly what you said, speaks volumes right there. Is because, if you're out there and you finally established your business and you understand that you're making X amount of money, there's a time where you have to realize that the only way that you're going to keep growing is when you start giving. Mm-hmm. And otherwise tithing wouldn't be in the Bible, right?
Right. And the great thing too, right, is that their success or my success is contingent upon their success, mm-hmm. right? So I'm helping them, and I enjoy the heck out of it, but I'm not doing it for free. Right?
Of course.
Like there is a quid pro quo, or whatever the right expression is, but I am thoroughly vested in their success because their success reflects my success.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Tomorrow at the event, I saw that you were going to be a guest speaker. Amazing. Mm-hmm. Are you speaking both Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, speaking in 2 breakout sessions on Friday and 2 breakout sessions on Saturday.
Exciting stuff, man. And what do you can you give the guys a little bit of, or is it private to the event? What are we going over here with you?
So I'm going to talk about 2 different things. The first thing is how to run the perfect seller appointment, because I think there's a lot that we do that everyone kind of sells. Everyone has like the same sales process, and the way that we sell is differently. I learned the Sandler sales systems, which is courtesy of my buddy Pace here, who introduced it to me. And it's just such a different sales process, different sales cycle that I think working with homeowners, mm-hmm. it makes a lot more sense to approach it this way. So I'm going to take everything I've learned in this journey in the past 8 months, and just put the best of it in a 1-hour session.
Wow, man.
Right? And it's not something that you can just learn in an hour. It's something that I'm still learning. Like I go to with my coach 2-3 times a week still, because you're learning a new language. You're learning psychology of sales.
Oh yes, oh yes. People do not understand how psychological of a battle it is the moment
Yeah.
that you step inside someone's like door.
You're
they don't
in
know
their
you.
home.
You're exactly, and home
Right.
is where what the heart is, right?
Right.
So I mean, if
Yeah.
you, at any point in time that you're disrespectful or you're holding, you see like you see them holding some sort of resentment toward you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're protecting their home, much
Right.
like with Animal Kingdom, for example. They do this all the time. And you enter the territory of where a pack of wolves are. You're crossing into a border here. It's
Right.
very hard to break that psychological cycle.
Oh, it's huge, right? And everyone, not everyone, but a lot has spoken recently about the importance of consultative sales, right? I want to say I've heard more about it like the last year or two. And everyone says it, but no one knows what it means. Like we know we're supposed to ask questions, but we don't know what questions to ask. We don't know when to ask what questions. And so for this, like this is how my team runs our business. And it's the last 2 days, back to back, my partner Max, we were just on the phone on the way here.
Max Maxwell.
No, Max Jimenez.
Max Jimenez. Okay, cool.
My business partner, and he said like in each of the last few days, after we didn't buy either houses. It's not dead, but we didn't buy either houses. But the homeowner said, it's interesting. Like we've spoken with 3 other investors, and they're just all they cared about was getting the house as low as they can.
Numbers.
Right.
Numbers.
And in talking to you, it's clear that you care about us. How far can you go with that versus beating someone up on the price? And I'm not saying we're not trying to buy it deep. We're trying to buy it deep like everyone else.
Of course.
But if you're on their team and you're both going towards that number versus they're over here and you're over here, it's just a different battle.
There's so many,
landscape.
and I know exactly what you're talking about. I love that. That's actually a very, very strong point with me. I tell all of my people on my team out back, 'cause it's been a long time, but I will never get tired of going to see houses and meeting with sellers.
Yeah.
Because only so many few can do it the way that I can do it. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's because you have to understand the psychology of the seller, what they're going through, how to fish for that information. So I mean, I love the word that you said. What was that? Team, right? Team.
Yeah. We're doing it together.
So together, that's another word. That's another word. People don't understand this, but when it comes to saying words like team or together, you are literally sparking neurons in this person's mind that's sending electric signals throughout their body that's giving them more comfortableness to be able to work with you.
Right.
So we got a question here. What do you guys think Steve Trang's superpower is? I'm slowly trying to figure that out as well.
Yeah.
What would you say your superpower is, boss?
I would say that I'm obsessed with learning. So I would say I'm probably one of the most coached, people in our space. I spent a lot of money, right? Darren Hardy, Brian Buffini, Craig Proctor.
All good stuff.
Right. If there's money to be spent, I've probably spent it. I've probably spent more money than anybody else as far as marketing goes, and then as far as coaching goes. So I am just passionate about learning, and the reason why that's helpful is because I like to learn it and research it and digest it, and then give it back to my people, right? In a sense, in a way that makes sense for our business. Because I can take something that someone says for their business and say, okay, how can we as an engineer, right, like look at this and put it in a different way to make it fit in our real estate world.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the engineer side of you too, man.
It is. It absolutely is.
Old habits die hard. Old
Yeah.
habits die hard. It's funny, man. A little bit about myself. You know what I mean? I'm gonna save some more of this story for you whenever I hop on your podcast.
Right.
But I used to traffic a bunch of marijuana, and that's my story.
So
I was very good at it. I was very, very good at it.
I can't say this for a fact. My suspicion is that a lot of the really good wholesalers, and in fact a lot of good realtors, were good at moving product.
Of course.
Because in what other industry can you in high school or college age learn inventory, learn networking, learn accounts receivable, right?
Man, you speaking my languages right now.
Right? Like, oh, who's behind on payments? Who hasn't bought in a while? We're losing some repeat customers. We need to go figure out what's going on with that, right?
Yes, man. Yes.
So there's a lot of industrial or industry that translates very well to other businesses.
You know, it's so funny, man, because like when you make the transition, right? There was a point in time in my life, just to give you a little bit more of my backstory, where I got caught with what I was doing, like everybody does, and it's completely fine, you know. And I was supposed to do X amount of time. Thank God I had an amazing attorney.
Yeah.
So after everything was said and done, I got out about 8 months later. I spent in prison, and then I had to do 3 years of parole. And it was then during that time that I started to learn about real estate. And it's literally the same thing.
It's the same thing, just
The
legal.
same thing, just legal. And of
Yeah.
course I have to pay taxes on my money. But you know,
That's why it's legal.
yes. And you know, I loved it because it taught me inventory. It taught me repeat business. It taught me ethics as well.
Right.
Ethics is a very important thing.
Right,
But there were
integrity.
certain ethics that kind of like went. So a friend of mine, we get a buyer under contract over a 20-unit apartment complex in San Antonio, right? The guy's buying it. We're gonna make $100,000, and he ends up falling off. And this is one of my first big deals as a wholesaler, getting into the game is some odd like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And this is like going to be supposed to be like my first big play. And my buddy's like, hey, dude, he calls me and I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? And he's like, yo, bro, like this buyer's not going to buy it anymore. We lost $200,000. I was like, we lost $200,000? We got to call up the boys. We got to find this dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's not like that. He was just like, no, bro, we don't go and find him. We keep his earnest money. We find another person. I was like, oh.
That's how it works.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got another question. Sonia, Ray, what are you spending the marketing on? Steve, what are you spending your marketing on?
So today, our majority of our marketing is buying data, skip tracing the data, RVM, text blasting, and then our cold callers. That's the cost of sale, right? It's not technically marketing, but it's a cost of sale. So that's where we're spending our money. And the reason why that's great for me, as when we're talking about the evolution of the licensed wholesale, that's what I'm calling it. People don't really like that right now, but I think they'll get used to it.
You know, these bigger companies as well that run wholesale brokerages, not saying that your company isn't big,
Right.
but I know that there's a few ones that rhyme with Schmitzworth and then Schmewestern. You know, those are ones right there that I
Yeah.
know that they got all their guys licensed, bro, and they all wholesale.
Right. Well, the great thing is you're spending that money on motivated homeowners. So if they're not that motivated, then they'll go traditional. So being licensed is just a great second tool for it.
It is, man, because if I don't want to sell my house for what you're giving me,
Right.
maybe I'll list it. And I
Right.
only have to pay a small commission and I might get full market value. And who gets
Exactly.
that commission? The brokerage.
Licensed wholesaler.
Boom. And the licensed wholesaler, yeah, they make their commission.
Right.
That-
Or
I
if
mean,
you don't
that's-
want to list it, just refer it out. Get 25%.
Yes.
So get paid legally. So maybe this is not a popular opinion, but bird
I want to
dogging,
hear it. Yes.
I believe bird dogging is illegal. So
Technically, that's brokering. Yes, I completely agree.
right. So and I'm not saying anyone should stop doing this. Just realize there may be some ramifications.
I mean, we all turn our cheeks, buddy.
Right.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I get it. So I'm not trying to turn anybody in. I just look at it as like this could be trouble, but that's not on me. But you know, like I'll send you $500 when this closes, right? And that's on their business card. It's like, well, you know, if you were licensed, totally legal. Well, if they're licensed, you're licensed, totally legal. Otherwise, you're doing some creative stuff, right? Like this was a consulting fee. This was a
Consulting, yes, and you get paid via invoice versus actually being reflected
right.
on the
So
HUD.
I'm not saying that there aren't ways around it. It's just, could you, in a court of law, look a judge in the eye, make this argument, and not sweat a little bit?
Yeah, man.
So that's
I've never
just where I'm
seen
going.
that episode of Key and Peele where I guess somebody's asking him a question, his wife's asking him or whatever,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
dinner, and he's like completely sweating profusely.
Right,
That's me in front of a judge. Of course, it's not going to stand. Pace, Jordan, Morby, what is Steve Trang's biggest passion besides his family and work?
Oh man, besides family and work, I mean, those are the two biggest things. I spend a lot of time with my family. Well, I guess a third thing would be Kung Fu. So I do.
What?
So I do Kung Fu once or twice a week. I do. It's Wing Chun, Hung Fai Yu Wing Chun.
Wow.
So we're talking about paying for coaching, right? So this is
That's the ultimate coaching.
this is controversial, probably, but you know, I would argue that I've got the best Kung Fu instructor on the planet, right? And once a quarter, I spend a weekend with him. Friday night, all day Saturday, and then Sunday from like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Once a quarter.
Wow.
And we're just doing Kung Fu.
You know what I love about Kung Fu is that it is the master of, it's the mastery of mind and body and spirit, right?
Right.
Because ultimately those three things, once you align them, do you awaken your true potential.
Well, yeah, and I didn't know until recently. The reason why all the Shaolin monks used to do so much Kung Fu was that's exactly that. Was to prove that your mind was in harmony.
Oh man, and you know, Kung Fu isn't meant to be violent.
Right.
It's not, and movies portray it to be something more than it actually is,
Exactly.
which is the practice of an alignment of yourself, knowing oneself. I love Kung Fu, man. I'm like a full-blown Kung Fu fanatic.
Oh, cool.
That is awesome. You have to show me what you've learned.
I can
Teach
show you.
me. You know,
I
like.
can show you. But it's just like sales. You know, I can show you, but it's gonna take a long time for your body to.
You know what?
To get it.
This is amazing because this also applies to business. And I remember watching this movie called The Matrix, right? It's an amazing movie.
Love the movie.
I think anybody who wakes up from life, they always refer back to, you know, I am free and unplugged from The Matrix. And Keanu Reeves, they input data into his mind. And he wakes up from this coma and he's like, I know Kung Fu. You right? And then the guy's like,
I say that all the time.
show me. And then they go into the virtual reality world and he's fighting and he's using his physical strength. And the guy's trying to tell him, do you really think that your body and your strength mean anything in this world that we are in?
Right.
Because he had aligned himself with the spirit. That's a superpower. Steve, I think I found it, guys. I think I found it.
I'm not gonna be able to, you know, fight. I feel like in a bar fight, right? I feel like I'll be totally fine there. But you know, put me in an MMA ring, I'm gonna get destroyed.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm gonna
that's
get murdered.
different though. Like that's brawling. That's brawling. That is not what Kung Fu stands for.
Right.
You don't see somebody just like, you know, throw some Kung Fu in there. Anyways, Josh Castro, what data are you using for motivation?
So we got pre-foreclosures. I would say code violations, and I wouldn't say out of state high equity is a source of motivation, but we're calling them. But code violation seems to be our best one.
Are you in multiple markets?
No.
Okay.
I am trying my best, to keep the monkey brain focused.
Of course.
In just Phoenix. I mean, I already have so many horizontal integrations. It would just be a disaster, I think, if I went to another market.
You know, I think that is a very key thing. I've seen a lot of people, and it's a trend nowadays. I am a virtual wholesaler. I wholesale in 50 plus states. Yada yada yada.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's not.
It's just not for me.
I would never buy something that was 5 states away from me.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. If I'm going to buy property, it's going to be within Texas. For example, I buy a house in Dallas. I'm going to go to Dallas. It's only a 4-hour drive. Right. I'll check on my house and come back. It's not a big deal. Yeah. I have homies. I can hang out here, probably sleep on the Propelio couch. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Well, that's what Corey, I think he said he puts like 40,000 miles a year.
Corey's a madman, dude. I love that guy.
What?
Dude, Corey... God was awesome when he made Corey. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, that guy's got indomitable will.
He does. And I have yet to see somebody out hustle that man. Yeah. And he's like straight to the T. He's very knowledgeable. He comes to my office sometimes in San Antonio.
He doesn't, if you just look at him, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, this is like another dude. And he starts talking like, what? Like, how do you know all these things?
Dude,
like,
right? And like, you know, the guy, I mean, we had a conversation one time and he was just like, I would never buy a Lambo. And I was like, why not? And he was like, I'd rather buy a tractor. I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. I'll buy the Lambo so we can drive it for one day. And then we go and sell the Lambo and get a tractor. And then we drive that because I want to see which one feels better, you know? And Texas, you know, that's what it's all about, man. Get the tractor.
Right. Is it John Deere country out here?
Yes. So the 3 marketing strategies were pre-foreclosure, absentee owner, and
code violations.
Code violations
is our best one.
Do you guys do tax delinquency out there in Arizona? Is there an exemption law or anything out there?
There's a redemption, and I want to say it's a 2-year redemption. I could be completely wrong on that. But we have not had luck with tax liens, but I wouldn't say because it doesn't work. I would say we haven't really focused on it. Mm-hmm. Right now, we've been going like really hard for about a year now, less than a year. Almost a year, and we're still implementing different systems, right? The RVM and text blasting is a newer thing.
Of course. Amazing what technology is bringing to the table. That was not around in the crash, man.
Oh, no.
You had to have a full call center.
Yeah.
No
So,
doubt.
You know, we switched dialers a couple of times. So we were doing Mojo. We hated Mojo. We tried, we tried Zen Dialer, which was cool. Just we're not at that level yet. Mm-hmm. So then we just switched to call tool. So there's just constant tweaking, and I wouldn't say that we're at the same level as some of these big guys.
Yeah.
We're still growing.
But look at it, man. I mean, it's gone from, come on, May all the way to now, and you being on a stage with Gary Vee.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, man. I'm sorry, but like, can we trade lives for a minute?
No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
I want to know Kung Fu. But I love that. So it's crazy. I love asking questions to other real estate investors that have different niches in their market. My niche in Texas is tax delinquency.
Yeah.
So once you reach the age of 65, typically you're exempt from paying taxes. It doesn't mean that the tax bill isn't going to keep going up, because it will keep piling up. It just means that the state cannot take the property away from you. So I capitalize on that motivation all the time. Yeah. Half the time, the person who is still entitled to the home is no longer living. And I have to capitalize on the level of motivation derived from the siblings. And the siblings, of course, they're grieving. I mean, the house probably belonged to their great-grandfather, XXX. There's a million different levels of motivation. So it's always awesome seeing what works in other markets. I mean, I've been wanting to branch out to Arizona, but I'm in Houston, currently working on Dallas, currently working on San Antonio, and I'm all over the place, man.
Well, if you need any help, I mean, I would say Phoenix is top 3 competitive markets, if not the top most competitive market. But I've also seen that it's one of the biggest open sharing market. I think what you guys do in Propelio here is amazing, right? Between Ground Zero and Roughneck to Real Estate, Iron Hills?
Iron Hills is part of Propelio, yes.
Yeah, so I think between everything that's happening here in Texas is awesome. We're doing the same thing in Arizona, and it's just, so even though it's a competition, it's a friendly competition.
Always.
There is no I hate that son of a whatever.
If it was like that, you wouldn't have had Propelio on your show, man.
Right.
And I saw their podcast. That was probably one of the best ones I've seen, man.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, bro. I feel like the further that I get out of Texas, it's just crazy. Hold on real fast. We got another question. Pace Jordan Morby, what will you change in the wholesale world over the next 5 years? That's a big question right there.
Oh, man, what I would change? I don't know if I would change anything. I think it would be totally different. I think the landscape would be completely different because we were just talking about the text blasting and the RVMs. I think for sure there's going to be a major smackdown in the next year or two.
Pretty soon we're just going to be driving for dollars with drones.
With drones,
right?
Door knocking, right?
Our drone will do the door knocking, yes.
Right. So it's just, I think the landscape is going to be different. I think someone's going to be made an example of, right? Just like we had with Dodd-Frank. Just someone's going to be made an example of. And we'll see what happens, how we adapt to it. I think door knocking is probably gonna have to make a comeback because cold calling is gonna go away, probably. Texting is gonna go away. RVM is gonna go away.
Who knows? That right there is the question. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we will give you guys some of our final thoughts and some of your questions. Like, share, comment, guys. This stuff's more of a conversation than what it is a live video. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. We will be right back with you guys.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Hey, what's up? Which camera am I looking at? This one right
This
here?
one right here.
Okay, cool. Hey, guys. So we just did, obviously, the switcheroo. I've been dying to get Quentin on the show. I was begging, I want to say back in October, to come on the show. So it's an honor, really, to me, Quentin. I've heard some of the story, but I think I want to go deeper in the story.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm finally being interviewed by you, man. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's an honor, honestly. So we talked, earlier about the value in, in trading product, right? And how it was instrumental in learning business in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we could do that legally when we were in high school, but we can't.
Yeah.
But it's
especially not in Texas, man. I'm sorry, but Texas, it's like a felony, brother. In the stupidest amounts, bro. Anyway.
Yeah. But it's such an entrepreneurial thing. So I sold candy, right? Like I would go buy candy for a nickel and sell it for a quarter, right? That's what I did in school.
I love it. That's the basis of everything.
Right. So I want to talk about, obviously that gave you great business aptitude,
Yes, it did.
right? But I want to talk about the journey because like, you said that your upbringing is a little bit different. Do you feel like that kind of led to your direction in was it high school you got in trouble or was it college? Like,
Oh man, I've been in and out of jail my whole life, bro.
but when like the bad thing happened.
Okay, so there was a lot of bad things that happened, and it's hard for me to level them out because there were so many, right?
Yeah.
The first bad thing was my father had ended up getting caught selling methamphetamine.
Okay.
And when he went away, we were dirt poor.
Like how old were you?
I was 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
And I was in Cleveland, Ohio at the time. And
What year was this?
1995, 1996.
So this is before like the Midwest started.
Oh yeah,
depleting, right?
definitely. Never been a Cleveland Cavaliers fan or anything like that, man, or whoever the hell LeBron plays for. But
Yeah,
of course,
Lakers suck.
yes, that was the first bad thing. Kind of a good thing because my dad was abusive, and we ended up coming back down here to San Antonio. We lived in the back of I guess my dad's ex-wife's house. My dad and my mom were together at the time, and the ex-wife was like, "How are you going to get this woman pregnant with this many kids, and have me and all my siblings and not be able to support them? You fool! You can live in the back of my house. I'm not going to let you step in front of it." So we had no electricity. We had to ghetto rig our electricity to power the house that we were staying in back of, and that was probably one of the worst times of my life. We ended up going to an orphanage because it was that bad. My mother couldn't support us, so I was with foster parents for about a couple of years. And then after we got out, my mom and dad finally got custody back for all of us. It was 4 of us at the time. And we drove straight down here to San Antonio, and I lived in the back of my grandmother's house. My grandmother wouldn't let me into the home because she was Catholic, and until I was baptized Catholic would I be allowed in the house.
Really?
Yeah, my dad didn't care to baptize me either, so.
But I'm surprised that she took it very serious.
Very, very serious, yes. It was like a sin for me to step into her home.
Wow.
My grandmother was very strict.
Yeah.
And, that was the second bad thing that ever happened. And I went to Las Palmas Elementary, which is on the west side of San Antonio. Very, very hood, very, very ghetto. Mostly highly populated by Latin kings and Latin Crips and whatnot. So by the time I was 13 years old, I grew up in this environment. And we ended up moving to the north side of San Antonio, which is an amazing area. Thank God we were finally away from my father. And my mother was single, and she now had my stepdad, who's been with my mother ever since. My mother's stepdad had taught me how to sell marijuana, and many times our house had got raided, many times we got busted, and those were very bad times as well.
Wow.
So people would think that I've only been in real estate, brother, since 2013. So the 2013, I jumped in and I really started getting my feet wet in the game. I didn't close my first wholesale deal until late 2014. 2015, late 2015, I found I was going to be a father. My son was born 2016 in March. Yeah. And there were several things that had built what you're looking at right here. So I speak about it because I'm very passionate about it, because I never really had a lot growing up, man. And I'll tell you from experience, glory is everything to God. Yep. And without his power, would I ever be graced with what I'm able to do today? Yeah. So it's just been insane, man. But I learned massive characteristics from my stepfather.
At which point would you consider you had hit rock bottom?
Oh, rock bottom was right when I thought I was at the weed mountain. I was at the top of the weed mountain.
You were at the top. Okay.
Yeah. So
this was like what year?
2004, I learned how to sell pot. Right. And then from 2004, I learned the intricacies of weighing it out, what I could sell it for, and how I could distribute it. And I would sell it to my friends at school all the time. And then I realized it was a very addictive thing for them. Most of them would really need it. So, I just had to keep buying more of it.
Wow, okay.
to feed this
Quentin,
arsenal that I had.
What's a weed mountain?
A weed mountain? A weed mountain is the top of the crop. You know what I mean? Like I'm standing above as the go-to guy to get product in San Antonio.
You're Tony Montana. I mean, I'm seeing this world is yours thing behind Quentin right here.
Yeah, man.
You're Tony Montana for weed.
Yeah, man. It was insane. And once I finally established myself and I learned how to do the routes, hiring the truckers, hiring people to distribute my product, I had people that would literally just take my stuff and take it from point A to point A B to point B to point C, and then I would get paid and capitalize on my investment. It was at the tip of that mountain that I tumbled down.
And disposition managers.
Acquisition managers, disposition managers, yes, and then understanding the thought of inventory, supply, and demand. Right.
Yeah.
Sell me this pen. Right. I can't. I have a pen. Well, there you go. Supply and demand. Right.
Exactly.
And finally, I found out that I was going to go to jail for a little while because one of my guys had ratted me out, and it is what it is. I would rather me than him anyway, and it is what it is. So I ended up getting caught, and then I lost everything when the cops took all of my product. They took all of my money, man. And I thought that
you feel comfortable
that
sharing
would never
how
happen.
much money that was?
Yeah, I'd say it was a little over $250,000 that I had stashed away in product.
Isn't it just crazy?
But that $250,000 of product that I had was supposed to yield me $1 million. So, the investment on it is stupid. If I were to show somebody whose IRA or 401k and raise some private money,
Will
and
you
I tell them,
your money tomorrow?
yeah, I can still probably do those things, but I don't need to anymore.
Right.
And real estate has really changed my thinking on a lot of different things.
So how did you go? Okay, so what year was it that you got busted?
I got busted in 2009.
2009. Okay, so at which point did you go from rock bottom to, man, there's a better way, or I need to change it, or I'm just gonna be back here?
Of course. So after I had done getting caught in 2009, I had an amazing attorney, and I postponed this jail sentencing for years. Reason why is because the cops didn't enter the place where I was at without a warrant. Probable cause. You tell a judge probable cause, they ain't gonna fucking. Where's the warrant? They want to see documentation. Much like contracts hold power here in Texas. If I have a house and I sign a contract with somebody and I cannot perform, that seller has the right to come after me in court of law for my default on that contract. Don't know if it's like that in Arizona.
Yeah.
But
it's not specific performance. They just take your earnest money.
Yeah. So literally, you can get sued for that here in Texas, which is insane.
Wow.
Anyways, I would still go on and off in doing it. And then 2013, I went to a music festival in Dallas, not too far from the event that we're going to be hanging out at here in a little bit. And I met a realtor who was friends with. It was a girlfriend of mine who was her boyfriend at the time, and he was an agent for a company, and that company was an investment firm. So he would instill that information into me that night that we hung out, and we were on ecstasy.
Yeah. Okay.
He was like, "Bro, you sell pot?" I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Dude, you should flip real estate." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Jumping up and down, to some music. And then next thing you know, him and I became really, really good friends. And he taught me a lot about real estate. Taught me about business and ethics. He literally instilled massive knowledge into me. And I don't think that he ever thought that I would get to this point in my life now where him and I work together, we own a company.
Yeah.
And he's the one who runs all the numbers for our business. And he also helps me with the marketing costs. And him and I, we clear millions of dollars in real estate every year.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, man. All I had to do was figure out how to flip my gift to gab. And my gift to gab was being able to put pieces together, much like yourself with your engineering background.
Right, solving problems.
Yeah.
And the amount of money you make is proportional to how good you are at solving problems.
Of course, man, of course.
Yeah.
And it's way different now, man, way, way different. Instead of trafficking marijuana, we're trafficking real estate problems. So the better that I find, the better that I can get at finding real estate problems. There's one thing that I learned in the marijuana business was that if I were to buy marijuana within the state of Texas, I would never get it as cheap as I would if I drove to California to buy it. Once I crossed those three borders, between Arizona, Mexico City,
Interstate.
and then boom, going into Texas, El Paso, yada, yada. Once I crossed all those borders and it got to Texas, my $900 investment increased times 4. And I could resell that same product that I had bought for $900 for $4,000, which was my wholesale fee, right?
Yeah.
And once I figured out that it was the same thing, all I had to figure out was where the source was. So the source for me was the person who was going to grow the product. The source for real estate is the courthouse and the courthouse retrieval systems.
Right.
If I can figure out how to farm these leads, I can get these leads for cheaper than what any software will ever give to me. Yeah. So here in San Antonio, Texas, where I run my business primarily, that's what we focus on, is farming real estate data directly from the source. And that is something that I learned drug dealing.
But like I said earlier, there's a lot of parallels. So I think one of the biggest things that I want to import on the listeners is there are a lot of people right now that are either close to giving up, right? Like they've been trying it hasn't gone anywhere, or their business has changed because they haven't kept up with the times. what would you tell someone that's just low on spirit right now? Just kind of like you were when you were like you hit rock bottom. Right now, I wouldn't say they're rock bottom, but man, they're frustrated and they're like, I don't know if real estate's for me. What would you tell them?
Man, you just got to keep going. You got to, this stuff works if you work, right? And I think that when you can truly find what you're passionate about and you can implement it into what you do and love to do every single day. For example, and I keep going back to this because I think this is a very important thing with you, the Kung Fu stuff that you're doing and the prior engineer work, there's always a reason why people do things, right? Yeah. And until you find that fire inside of you that tells you that when I wake up today, I'm going to decide the kind of day I'm going to have, is when you truly can break barriers in your life, right? Because I can tell you right now, man, I am nobody special, bro. I came from fucking hell to get here, and I thank God for every day that I have, that I'm alive. I thank God for my wife and my gorgeous son, because without them, I would not be who I am, for my family that has blessed me. I thank God for all the bad things that have happened in my life, because without those things, I would hold massive resentment toward the success that I have right now. Yeah. And people, you got to find yourself first. If you're trying to work this business and you're broken, it's not going to work. You have to align yourself with something more powerful than you. Yeah. And that starts with working on yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the things that people need to understand, and you say there's nothing special about you, right? There's nothing special about me. There's nothing, like, if you told me, or if you went and said, like, you're going to find this engineer and he's going to be good at real estate, like, everyone will ask you. I've had so many people like, why would you go into real estate? Right, as an engineer, like, that's such a weird thing, right? Yeah. And Max Maxwell, he's only been in real estate for 3 years, or wholesaling for 3 years. Carlos and Sal, they've been doing it, I want to say, like 4 years. Zach Keeps, he was on my show yesterday. He was broke. He was dead broke in 2009, and he has 150 properties himself.
Yes.
Right? So, like, it's just a matter of opening your mind to accepting that you're worthy of it, you're capable of it, and that just changes everything. Versus, like, I don't deserve it. There's a lot of, like, self-sabotage out there, right?
There is, and people think that they work hard, but they've never actually truly put their will to test.
Right.
And I think that that's a big factor there as well. Is if you're struggling and you're watching this video, man, I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. The struggle is all in your mind. Yeah. Your body will carry you as far as your mind believes that you can go. Yeah. So, and then some people take more time than others. It took me 1 year and 8 months to close my first wholesale deal. 8 months, I'll say, because it was a year that I was in real estate. Then I found out about wholesaling, and then 8 months later, I closed my first real estate deal. But I mean, it happens. Whether you're cold calling, whether you're dropping recorded voicemails or doing text mail blasts, or you don't have any money for that, and you have a flip phone that you're watching this stream on. I don't even know if you can do that on flip phones, but you can. Yeah. You have tools here that are available to you, and there's no excuse for the reason why you can't be who you're trying to be, especially because real estate's equal opportunity. If a 2-time felon that spent time in prison can become a successful real estate investor like myself, or even somebody who's an ex-engineer, ex-kung fu master, soon to be Shaolin monk, Steve Trang, I'm pretty sure that anybody can do this business, no matter where you're from in this life.
And one of my favorite quotes for the longest time was from Henry Ford. He's like, the man who believes he can and the man who believes he can't are both right.
Are both right. Yeah. Powerful, powerful.
So Shock Riddles has a question. So thought of cold calling, RVMs, et cetera, going away in the near future. How do you see the large companies in the space like Zillow, OfferPad, et cetera, managing their leads? Well, I think that they're going to do just fine, because freaking Zillow, I don't know how it is in Texas, but in Arizona, you go and, like, oh, I want to see what my house is worth, 123 Main Street, and it's right there. Like, your Zestimate is 180. And would you like a cash offer? There's no better source for leads. And then you got OfferPad. They're paying for billboards. I don't think billboards are ever going to be illegal. Maybe it could someday. But
I doubt that's going to happen. If anything, they evolved and they're now all digital, and they streamlined multiple advertisements.
And there are display ads everywhere. And then Open Door is I want to say they got display ads. They've got billboards, and they're doing direct mail. So direct mail. I've heard from my buddy Pace here, like, it's illegal in Idaho now. So who knows
what?
How long that's going to be around. But I,
That makes me want to send direct mail to Idaho right now. breaking the law, right?
Right.
No, I'm
So
kidding.
I think that for them, I don't think lead gen will be a problem because they've got like, Coca-Cola money, right? They've got Super Bowl ad money, like which we'll never have. So we just
yeah.
got to hustle. I think that's really the only thing.
Exactly. If things get outlawed, we adapt or evolve or we die.
We
right?
find another way.
Aaron Whitaker, I'm going on appointments, but I'm not closing, and I get a lot of maybes. But what books can I read to get better at sales? Or do you know any of any programs?
So Aaron Whitaker, if you're coming to We Live, I'm speaking
man.
on this exactly tomorrow and Saturday, right? So if you're coming, like come to the breakout because I will. The theme is the perfect sales appointment is the Think It Over Crusher. You will never get another Think It Over again. As far as the book to read, I haven't personally read it, but I've read everything else by Sandler and listened to everything else by Sandler. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar, and that's and the reason why he calls it that is you got the. If I told you, hey, I'm going down to Mexico City tomorrow, and when I come back next week, I'm gonna be fluent in Spanish, you would laugh your ass off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? But if you tell someone I'm gonna learn how to sell in 1 weekend, everyone thinks it's like, oh yeah, you can totally do that, right? But if you're at We Live, you'll not get another Think It Over. You might get more no's, but I would rather have a no than Think It Over.
I'm really excited because I know you're talking about a lot of psychology, and I think that if I were to suggest a book, actually, to the gentleman that had answered that asked that question, I would recommend The Laws of Human Nature.
Yeah?
By Robert Greene. And that right there is an amazing book. It's like the size of the 4th Harry Potter book, The Goblet of Fire, bro.
His 48 Powers is a thick ass.
Oh yeah, 48 Laws. I've read that one too.
Yeah.
Those are all, the thing about Robert Greene is that he has a lot of deception behind him and like a lot of manipulation.
Right.
But when you go through the laws of human nature, and I think when it comes to negotiation, body language is very, very important. And especially you have to be able to read the seller and know what direction the energy in the room is going to go.
Right.
And if you can capitalize on those things by picking up on human nature, that's going to be one of the most essential tools that you'll have on your belt walking into a seller appointment.
The psychology is so important. Brandon else wants to know if I can only pick one marketing avenue, or maybe this is for you. If you can only pick one marketing avenue, which would it be?
Which would it be and why? Marketing avenue?
You were saying tax delinquent, right?
Oh man, yeah, there's so many though. There's so many. And so I think of marketing like this, and I'll answer this question too, and I'd actually like your opinion on it as well. I picture marketing like this. You can either be the one guy that's sitting at the pier in an ocean of leads with one pole in the water and praying that you catch one fish, or you could be the asshole on the speedboat with a net that's flying through the ocean, catching every motherfucking fish that there is. Who would you rather be? And everybody sees the fishnet people as assholes. You know, the Carlos Reyes, right? He was just on the show a couple of days ago. I know he was on your show too.
Yeah.
I look up to this man very highly. He's probably a major inspiration of how I opened up my office. We have a calling center. We use the gong and all that stuff. And all my guys are killing it, right? But Carlos, I saw on his Instagram story yesterday a ton of freaking direct mail that was return mail. And they spend probably anywhere between 20 to 100 grand on marketing a month. I spend probably half of that, if not maybe a quarter. It depends on what I'm doing and what I have in the pipeline, because I don't like taking on more than I can handle.
Right.
But I think that focusing on a barrage of marketing is more advantageous than being the guy on the corner of the pier trying to fish for one trout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm the jackass in the fucking speedboat, and we are going to be catching everything, and we all going to eat. And the way that I do that is by marketing through driving for dollars, cold calling, door knocking, everything. What would you say? What's your opinion on that?
I would say the best we've had has been code violations.
Code violations?
Code violations. I mean, the properties. So in Arizona, we have HOAs, and then we've got city violations. You got HOA violations, like whatever, right? Like you didn't put your garbage can away.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
City violations is like your window is broken, like you need to freaking replace this window, or your weeds are so tall it's on your neighbor's fence, right? Like,
and this is like a desert town, right?
Yeah.
I heard, dude, and I drove past Arizona, right? I probably should have called you, and I felt rude about it, but I was going to Vegas, man. My mind was on my money, and my money was on my mind.
I love
anyway, on the way, I saw these cool signs that were like, yo, if there's a dust storm passing by, park your car and turn it off. I was like, what? is this? That is what's up.
It's a little drier than here.
Yeah, man,
drier.
definitely. And I thought Texas was bad, was like that, man.
No.
Texas, everything's a flood zone, bro. People are like, there's no mountains in Texas. Steve, you're sitting on a mountain right now. It's just a very, very big mountain. I'm not even lying.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, bro. Texas is huge. It's vast, and you would never even know because everything's so
idea.
leveled.
So Matt Smith wants to know education resource to make taking the next level or make things click. I've been harping on this Sandler thing, which again I'm teaching tomorrow, but I've been obsessed with it. So since I first went into it, I've been going 2-3 times a week for months. I mean, I was so when I signed up for it, it was a $9,500 payment up front, right?
Oh crap!
But
What is this?
It's Sandler. This is
Sandler's. You're in his program.
Yeah. So it was $9,500 up front, and I was like, I guess, right? If I get to hang out with a bunch of homebester dudes, which is all the We Buy Ugly Houses guys, like
Yeah.
okay, fine,
They've been doing this since before wholesaling was even commercial.
Yeah. So I'm in, and so after I went through it, I was like, this is so powerful for all sales and even effective communication with your spouse and your kids. That I talked to the guy that runs the location in Scottsdale, and I negotiated a discounted rate for everyone at Stunning Homes Realty. So every agent at my brokerage, and we have over 100 agents now. We have over 100 agents now at Stunning Homes Realty, and I negotiated, and it's half split over 12 months versus what I paid up front. Right? But I mean, he's had, I want to say, like 15 people from my office go through it, and that's how passionate I am about it.
I love it, man. I love it. The only program I ever bought was Flipping on Fire, and it was from a friend of mine named Ross Alex out in Houston, Texas. And he was one of my first mentors. I bought it in like 4 years ago, and it taught me how to raise private money, and private money runs a lot of my business.
Yeah.
I actually kind of always knew how to raise private money, but I just didn't know how to do it legally. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to say thank you for coming, and much love to Propelio. Keep the comments flowing, guys. I'm so honored to have you on my show.
Oh, likewise. I'm honored to finally meet you face to face. I'm appreciative of Ryan for doing this last minute, because I texted him yesterday. And Daniel for letting us use the Propelio studio. Like, it's awesome.
Dude, you know what's funny is after you texted Ryan, I called him and I was like, "Hey man, I needed to move a show forward," because I have shows that I come up here and we try to do as consistently as possible. But of course, I'm in San Antonio. I run a full-blown business, man.
Yeah.
Very hard for me to come up here. And he was like, "Yo, Steve Trang's gonna be here tomorrow," and I was like, all right, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I booked the hotel and everything, and next thing you know, I'm also going to We Live.
Awesome.
So super excited, guys. Huge event this weekend. We Live 19. Your host is Max Maxwell with Wholesaling Houses Elite.
Yep.
We're going to be watching Steve Trang alongside Gary V, Christina, House Buying Brian, several different people that I love and respect that I've been watching and following their success. And it's just a major honor to have them all in one room, guys. That is the place to be tomorrow. I believe there's still some tickets available as well,
There's
right?
some tickets available. Use Steve. You get 30% off, and you get some one-on-one time with me. And, I think I was talking to Ryan offline about this. Like, the subscriber count is not, where he wants it to be. And I would say there's just no reason for that. There's so much freaking value in Propelio. There's no reason for the subscriber count not to be higher. So, guys, if you like this, go to YouTube, subscribe. Let's get the subscriber counts up.
Yes, guys. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. All right. Well, thank you so much, Steven. Man, it's an honor to have you on the show. You guys. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, dude. How can they get a hold of you, man?
The best way to get a hold of me is Instagram. I'm horrible by email, by text, my phone. Instagram, steve.trang, Trang. You send me a DM. I respond to all of my DMs. All of them. Now, some of them, I wonder why they ask that question, but I answer all of them every time, right? And sometimes the answer is short, as like, what have you done so far? Because if you haven't done anything, if you haven't put anything into the cup, I'm not putting anything into the cup, right? So just be prepared for that, but I respond to every single message.
Respectable, man, respectable. All righty, guys. Steve Trang, thank you so much, man, for being on the show, guys. I'll see y'all later. Catch y'all next Thursday on the Ground Zero show in Propelio.
Thanks, guys. How was that, Ryan? Wasn't too bad? Oh, he's pissed.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage Investments, CreativeCashFlow.com,
This whole time, I
and
thought that part
Lifeonaire.
was pre-recorded.
I don't know what I'm doing. Hey everybody, I'm Ryan with Propelio. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. Turn on those notifications and stick around for more. We have tons of content like this all over our channel. So if you want to learn more about real estate investing, stick around, watch Propelio TV, and we'll see you later.